Welcome to Carpe Diem. I'm Patrick, and in 1983, I hid my dice. Not because I was ashamed, not because I thought they were evil, but because being a nerd in the 1980s wasn't just socially risky, it could get you questioned by school counselors, lectured by concerned relatives, or worse, become the target of a moral panic that made national news. You see, in the early 1980s, the world decided that Dungeons and Dragons was satanic, not metaphorically, literally. The news ran stories about kids disappearing into steam tunnels, which I'll get to in a minute, and parents burning players' handbooks in church parking lots. There were after school specials where the dungeon master turned out to be the devil, and rolling a d20 was somehow a gateway to the occult. And if you played D&D, you learned real quick to keep it quiet. I remember the drill. Friends coming over, D&D books went under the bed. Cool kids from school stopping by, dice disappeared into desk drawers. Family gathering with that one aunt who watched too much 60 Minutes, the monster manual became homework shoved into a backpack. It wasn't shame exactly, it was survival. Because being a nerd in the 80s already put a target on your back. You were already the kid who got picked last in gym class, already the one eating lunch alone with a science fiction novel. D&D was just one more thing that proved that you were different. And different wasn't celebrated back then. Different was suspicious. The irony is, we weren't doing anything wrong. We were sitting around a table, using our imaginations, doing math, telling stories, working as a team. We were probably the safest kids in America on a Friday night. But the world looked at us and saw something dangerous. Speaking of dangerous, let me tell you about 1981. I was at Central Michigan University, studying computer science, which, yes, also made me a nerd. One day, I'm exploring the campus and I find an entrance to the steam tunnels. Now, I'd heard the stories. Every campus has them. The student who went into the tunnels and never came out. The secret passages, the mysterious disappearances. And that's in my head as I'm standing there looking at this entrance. But what really got me wasn't the urban legends. It was the tunnel itself. 4.5 feet tall, pipes on the walls and ceiling, and it just went off into the darkness. I couldn't see the end. Just this low, claustrophobic corridor disappearing into the black, with steam hissing from the pipes and this industrial hum echoing back at me. And standing there, looking into that tunnel, all I could think about was the movie Altered States. You know, the one where William Hurt regresses into a proto-human nightmare creature through sensory deprivation. That movie scared the hell out of me. I ran. I ran out of there like a scared rabbit, convinced that if I stepped into that tunnel, something would change, something fundamental, and I'd come out different or not come out at all. Later, I learned that the steam tunnel panic was part of this larger satanic panic. A kid named James Dallas Egbert III had disappeared in 1979, and because he played D&D, the media decided that he must have gone into Michigan State steam tunnels to live out some fantasy. Turns out the truth was sadder and simpler. He was struggling with depression and substance abuse, but the damage was done. D&D got blamed. Steam tunnels became sinister, and kids like me learned to hide what we loved. Fast forward to today. D&D is in Stranger Things. It's in movies. Celebrities play it on streaming shows. Being a nerd isn't just acceptable, it's profitable. Cool. And that's wonderful, truly. I'm glad kids today don't have to hide their players' handbooks. I'm glad the world figured out that rolling dice and fighting imaginary dragons doesn't summon actual demons. But here's what I think about sometimes. What did we lose by having to hide? Because when you grow up learning to conceal the things that you love, you internalize something. You learn that passion is dangerous, that being enthusiastic about the wrong things makes you a target, that it's safer to be quiet, to blend in, to not let anyone see what really matters to you. And that lesson doesn't just stay in your childhood, it follows you. How many of us as adults still hide our hearts? Not from moral panics or concerned relatives, but from colleagues who might think our hobbies are childish, from new friends who might judge us for the things we're passionate about, from a culture that tells us we should have outgrown certain joys by now. I run a pest control business, and I'm a professional. I wear a uniform, I talk to customers, I solve problems. And for years, I didn't tell my clients that I played D&D, because what if they thought it was weird? What if it made me seem less serious, less confident, less adult? I hid my dice in '83 because the world told me to. But why was I still hiding them in 2010, 2015, 2020. Because the lesson stuck. The world taught me that the things I loved made me vulnerable, and I learned that lesson too well. So here's what I want to tell you, and I wish someone had told me this 30 years ago. The things you love, the hobbies that light you up, the passions that make you weird, the interests that don't fit the script, those aren't liabilities. They're what make you real. When you hide them, you're not protecting yourself, you're dimming yourself. You're playing small because someone once told you that being big, being bright, being enthusiastically, unashamedly yourself was dangerous. And maybe it was dangerous once. Maybe loving D&D in 1983 did make you a target. Maybe being a nerd did cost you something. But it's not 1983 anymore. And even if it were, even if the world still told you that your passions were wrong, your interests were suspect, your joy was problematic, wouldn't it be worth it to yourself anyways? Because here's the thing they don't tell you about hiding. It doesn't just hide you from judgment, it hides you from connection, from the people who would love you because of your weirdness, not despite it, from the life you could have if you stopped performing normalcy and started living authentically. I hid my dice for decades, and you know what I got for it? Safety, camouflage, the approval of people who didn't really know me. You know what I didn't get? The friendships I could have had with other people who loved what I loved, the stories I could have told, the games I could have played, the community I could have been a part of, if I'd been brave enough to say, yeah, I played D&D and I love it. Now, the Satanic Panic is over. The news isn't running scare stories about devil-worshipping teenagers anymore. D&D won that battle. The nerds won. But the real victory isn't that D&D became mainstream. It's that we get to choose every day whether we're going to hide or whether we're going to be seen. I hid my dice in '83 because I was young and scared and the world was hostile. But I don't have to hide them anymore, and neither do you. Whatever your dice are, whatever passion or hobby or weird little interest that you learn to keep quiet about, it's okay to let it show. It's okay to be enthusiastic. It's okay to be yourself, fully and unapologetically, even if someone might judge you for it. Because the people who matter won't mind, and the people who mind don't matter. So here's my question. What are you still hiding? And what would happen if you stopped? The panic's over, but the tavern's still open. Pull up a chair and tell me all about it.